you're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba Show, brought to you by AETi, Evolve Green, and Fabricland Winkler. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Happy to be back here on this Wednesday morning, final Rise and Shine show for the month of April here in 2022. Let's make it a good one. Should be a good one. Going to be having two people joining me on today's edition of the show, as you guys have might have seen in the description of this episode. Gordie Tumilson will be joining me on the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy segment to talk about all the latest news surrounding Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. He's going to be joining me first here on the show today. Next up on the program is going to be Adam Wedlake, Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba, joining the show to give us an update on the latest going around here in basketball in Manitoba. And then I'm going to finish off with a edition of Graham's Opinion. As always, going to be talking about the St. James Junior Canucks MMJHL championship victory Monday night, and just the past three games of that series in general, as they were able to defeat the Pembina Valley Twisters in 5 games to claim their first championship in 24 years, which is crazy. Awesome for them to break that drought. Also going to be talking about why I think playoff hockey is the best time of the year, as well as the terrible road situations here in Winnipeg. They really need to fix their roads here. But yeah, that's coming up to end off today's edition of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. But before we get into that, we got plenty of coverage for you guys. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's edition of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. And you know what that means, everybody. Once the intro hits, it's time to raise a glass, whatever you guys got, and get up, rise and shine here on Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions.
I have the longest neck in the world, so I had to watch my neck. Anyway.
Gordie Tumilson, always great to have him on this the edition of the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy segment here on Rise and Shine Manitoba. Gordie, a lot of stuff has been going on with the Hockey Academy. It's busy times around the academy right now. How are you handling the busyness of everything that's going on?
That's good. It's good for an old guy to keep busy. You put on some age and you retire from work, and then and you're busier than you were at work. So no, this is good. It keeps your mind sharp. So a lot of different things, a lot of different aspects to the game that we don't typically deal with, for 7 or 8 months during the season. So it's kind of fun, different, and our place is growing and expanding into all different kind of places and things. So yeah, it's a good deal.
Well, speaking of teams in the academy, the AAA program, apparently there were 6 teams that were in action for the academy. Talk about that.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that program as I probably should be on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, all 6 teams were playing, and we had some victories, and we had some good competitions. Good competition, and these little kids, they go out there. I say all the kids are 12, 13, but they got some 9 and 10-year-olds out there. They're just playing, and they're playing their hearts out, and they're having fun, and that's like any other sport. You need to start at the bottom and build the program up. So we've got a guy in Nathan Ramage who's looking after that program out in Pilot Mound and Crystal City and all that area. And he's done a phenomenal job of putting teams together. I don't know how he does it, honestly, but then I mean, he's got 6 teams. He does it all by himself, sort of thing. It's amazing. A lot of parental help, I guess. But yeah, it's a great program. They play games. They go to tournaments. They get a lot of good swag, and they show off the Pilot Mound stuff. And of course, that's, like I said, that's the development program for us. We're hoping to be able to get our U15s out of this program right through. As they grow up, the better players can move up with our academy if they're able to. So that's kind of neat.
How huge truly is that of just having that type of development program of those AAA programs to, develop the players before they may even get to, like you said, the U15 programs, just having that benefit in place.
Well, I think if you look at every sport, I mean, curling's in a bit of trouble sometimes these days because they don't have necessarily, in some places, don't have a good base for kids programs. They're working at that now. And other sports, we all know that, if kids grow up with it when they're 7, 8, 9, 10, when they start into a sport, that's huge. I mean, having them love the sport and want to play it for a lifetime, because most sports are lifetime sports. Not necessarily at the professional level. You don't play for your lifetime, but you can still play hockey until you're older, and some of us do, and some of us are smart enough not to. But at the end of the day, it's a huge part of our development, and we need to attract local kids as well as players from all over, so that we get a good mix of players, and that we've got a strong base, so that we know we've got good players coming in all the time to help us compete.
Going over to the U17 program now, they were back in action after a long layoff, of course, from their most recent games. Their most recent games coming this past weekend, only playing one game since one of them was canceled due to the weather, playing against the Winnipeg HS Elite team. They ended up winning the one game they played 5-4. Talk about, the past weekend here in Blackjack Stewart Arena for this U17 program back in action.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a good chance for our guys to get back and play a game. We were hoping for 2, but in fact, to get one game is like a miracle in Manitoba these days. The way the weather is, and the overland flooding, and all the other negative things that are going on that way. And people's lives being affected, etc. It was good to get a game in, get some rust off. The high school team was pretty good. They came out with a good team. And it was a good effort. We were outshot a little bit, about 35-25, I think. And Miles had a pretty good game in goal for us. So happy with the goaltending, and really happy with the effort that our guys made. We don't have Laz Constant and a couple of other guys in the lineup. So the guys that we had did a pretty good job of getting the job done in the 5-4 win.
Yeah, and great for these Buffaloes, this U17 group, to be back in action, getting some games in here as we're into the springtime now. But some huge news in terms of the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships. Jade Wendigo, Morgan Satie, and Lily Medicine all getting selected to their respective provinces. Of course, Wendigo being selected to Team Ontario, along with Lily Medicine as well, and Morgan Satie being selected to Team Manitoba. This tournament going in Nova Scotia from May 7th to May 14th, so it's coming up soon. Talk about that, just seeing some Buffaloes getting rewarded and getting selected to this tournament, the National Aboriginal Hockey Championships.
Yeah, well, we expected Morgan to, of course, make our team. She's a heck of a player. So, and it's her 3rd year with us, and she's been great. So that was an expectation. Wendigo and Lily making the Ontario team was, what a bonus that is. I mean, my gosh, neither of them I thought they would make this team, and yet they came to our program, and that's what we're all about, development. And boy, these kids got better. And I know both of them are expected back. We want to have them back. We want them to even get better. So, boy, that's a feather in everybody's cap here to have those two players make the team for sure. And Morgan, of course, here in Manitoba. So, yeah, all positive for us and for the 2 players and their families. It's worth making the trip, as they say in Steinbach.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And, it's going to be awesome for these three players to experience hockey in that atmosphere and that environment of playing in a tournament like this for sure. No doubt about it. Evaluation camps still going on, of course. We've talked about them already. Registration is still open for the male 2022 evaluation camp. Talk about, just what the camps have been looking like since the last time that we talked.
Well, we're going to get about 15 kids out, I think, this coming weekend, maybe more because registration is still open and we get some last minute kids will come out. We thought we had 10 last weekend. We ended up with 16 in the last minute. So, people are making last minute decisions based on a lot of things. One is the hockey part and the other part's the weather, if you can get to a place. But it looks like the weather's going to be okay. It might be raining and maybe a bit of flooding, but hopefully we can, get the kids to the rink, and that's the important part. So we're looking at having 15, 20 players out this weekend, along with our regular team and two teams. Our U17 boys and then of course the U18 new kids. We've got 5 new goalies coming out in that mix, and so we're pleased with that. A couple of kids from Winnipeg and surrounding areas, so that we're very pleased with that. They've heard about our program in Winnipeg, not only the goalie one, but of course everything else. And they're starting to look elsewhere beyond the city's borders, and that's a really neat thing for us. We've made some headway in regards to that. It's a tough nut to crack when you can sleep in your own bed in Winnipeg, and you choose to move out to Pilot Mound and play hockey there. So good for us, and we're looking for a great weekend. And to get to evaluate some of these players who may come out and join us out there and become better, become the Wendigos, Medicines, and Satis of their own particular group.
Right on. And what is awesome is that the U18 program got accepted into the CSSHL for the 2022-2023 season. The U18 male program, that is, obviously this seemed like it would be inevitable, of course, with the new program being announced, but to get this announcement finally, for it to be official, exciting news for the academy.
Yeah, it's great news. I mean, we expected it, but you never know. The last minute things happen, and until you get the nod from the league and the board of governors, et cetera, that vote on these things, you never know for sure. But at the end of the day, they thought it's a good idea. Hockey Manitoba thinks it's a good idea. We thank Hockey Manitoba and Hockey Canada for their support, and of course the CSSHL. And we're going to have it's a growth year for us. So look out. We're going to be battling. It'll be an uphill battle, we think, but that's okay. Billy Keane and his group will fight the good fight, and we'll have a decent team, and we'll start to grow that program as well.
It's going to be exciting to see how this program is going to grow from year one, coming up in the 2022-2023 season. Speaking of this year, for some Buffaloes throughout the whole Hockey Academy being nominated for some awards. One of your guys, Cian Hodgins, being nominated for the male U17 Prep Top Goaltender Award, but there's some other Buffaloes as well. Let's talk about those awards that these Buffaloes are up for.
Sure. If you wouldn't mind rattling off the names of all, because I may have missed one. So if you don't mind, Graeme, while you're doing that, I appreciate it.
So we got Cian Hodgins for top goaltender, up for that in the U17 prep division. We got Sam Takahashi for the male U17 prep most sportsmanlike player award. And then Haley Honocki for the female U18 prep most sportsmanlike player award.
Right. I had missed Sam, so my apologies. I knew about Haley and, of course, Cian. Yeah, having those three in there. And you say, well, sportsmanlike or sportsmanship, those kinds of awards. Well, first of all, the players are very talented. They just don't have to be dirty while being talented. And that's kind of a neat thing. And they're great kids off the ice. They work really hard. They're in the fitness room. The two of them in particular, Hanaki and Takahashi. The goalkeepers never go to the fitness room because they're all they do, but it's different for them, right, apparently. But anyway, so we've got the two forwards making their mark in the game. And being recognized by the people in the league, and that's important because there's a lot of great kids in this. there's, the league is full of great kids and good kids and hardworking kids and good in school, which these two guys and gals are. And boy, they worked hard. And so they've been recognized, and that's neat. And of course, with Cian Hodgins, I mean, he came here out of Ottawa. We managed to sort of wedge him out of there last summer. It was questionable whether he was coming. I know I talked to mom and dad and Cian, and then they talked to our Jordan McGinnis and their parents. Jordan, of course, played here for 3 years, and we managed to get him out here after they spoke with mom and dad McGinnis and Gordie, and nothing but good things to talk about our program, of course, Gordie being an all-star as well. So getting Cian here was a bonus. He was worried about not being recognized because he's in Western Canada, not knowing much about what's going on here. We told him not to worry, you'll be fine and you'll be recognized. Well, here he is. He's up for all-world goalie guy, and we're really proud of his effort and our program here to help him get there. And we delivered him what we said we were going to do, and that's really important, Mom and Dad. If you're watching this, we delivered on a lot of kids who we make promises to, but we make good statements at. We're going to give you everything you can get to get your future moving in the right direction.
And there you go. Pilot Mound living up to the expectations that they set out for some certain players, especially Cian Hodgins. And awesome to see him get this nomination for the U17 Prep Division Top Goaltender Award because, even though the numbers weren't great, like you said, and like we always talk about, faces so many shots, and he was phenomenal this season, no matter what the numbers say. And it's a big reason why he's nominated for this year's U17 Prep Top Goaltender Award in the CSSHL. Before we end off here, Gordie, talk about what's up next for the Buffaloes for this Pilot Mound Hockey Academy coming up this weekend and throughout the week.
Yeah, our U17 boys and U17 young ladies, or our U18 young ladies, are playing games. The boys are in Moosomin to play against the Indigenous Sports Academy team coming down from Prince Albert. And they'll play 2 games, Thursday and Friday. And then everybody will come home Friday night, and we'll have our weekend evaluation camp for the boys. The girls are in Winnipeg for at least 3 games and hopefully more on Thursday, Friday, and over the weekend if they can manage to squeak out a win here and there to further their competition on the weekend. So I'm going to catch a couple of games Thursday and Friday, the games in Winnipeg, watch the videos of the games in Moosomin, and then get up to the evaluation camp on the weekend. So a busy hockey weekend for our coaches and our players, and we're looking forward to it.
And, of course, here on the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy segment on Rise and Shine Manitoba show, we'll have updates on how the weekend went for the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy and the evaluation camps and the games for the U17s and U18s. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, joining me on Manitoba show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, for another Wednesday. Gordie, until next Wednesday when we do it all again, you take care.
Thanks, pal.
Now, it was Gordie Tumilson on this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. And folks, while it's a bit darker right now where I'm sitting in my basement, is one of the lights burnt out. So that's why there's more shadow on my face more than usual. Going to get that sorted out here. Get that sorted out for next week's edition of the show, of course. But it's time now to switch up the background here, the green screen, to a basketball court, because the guest I'm talking to next is Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba, Adam Wedlake. He'll be joining the show up next here on Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, to talk about the latest stuff happening here in basketball in Manitoba. You won't want to miss it. That's coming up on this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm. Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you, with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions Manitoba show, brought to you by AETi, Evolve Green, and Fabricland Winkler. You'll be seeing Fabricland Winkler's commercial coming up in the next break. But yeah, welcome back to the show, everybody. Hopefully everyone's having a great Wednesday up until this point. The sun is shining here in Manitoba, which is nice. Hopefully the snow will continue to melt here, and we can finally enjoy that nice spring weather that usually comes around here in Manitoba. But yeah, coming up next on the show, and actually joining me right now, is Adam Wedlake, Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba. Adam, how are you doing on this Wednesday morning? Great to connect with you once again.
Morning, Graeme. How you doing? Nice to be with you.
Doing good, doing good. It's it's sunny outside. It's a nice day outside. I'm sure after this year, you're hoping to go out and enjoy some of that sunshine.
Yeah, we've been definitely not had a great spring so far. It feels like November still sometimes when we get outside, but today looks pretty nice. So yeah, looking forward to getting some sun, some vitamin D on our bodies. That would be nice.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Talking about Basketball Manitoba, just stuff happening with Basketball Manitoba, the sport in the province right now. Awards for the All-Star game. Of course, the All-Star game happened this past weekend. Talk about that event and the awards that were handed out.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it was a great weekend. When I was on with you 2 weeks ago, we had, I guess, the first of two storms looming down on us, and we were not sure if that was going to run. It was scheduled for the 16th of April. Unfortunately, we did have to cancel it. We were scheduled to be at Sport Manitoba, the gym that you've got in your background there. Unfortunately, Mother Nature felt it was not quite ready for an event for us to run. It's been an event that's been canceled for 2 years already. This would possibly could have been the third year we lost it because of non-pandemic reasons. But so we unfortunately did have to move it to the following weekend, just this last Saturday, the 23rd, and luckily to find another facility to host it for us. Last second scrambling around, but that's the nature of the biz, and we're usually ready for a plan B or a plan Z. Probably in this case, there's so many interruptions it seems at times, but we got through it, and it was a great event. So what it is it's called the Basketball Manitoba Awards. We do this annually to recognize and honor those that had a great high school basketball season that just wrapped up in March. And so we present about 75 different awards. This runs from the single A level of basketball at high school in Manitoba up to the 4As, and that's sort of based on the school size. So we present different levels of players of the year, coaches of the year, the All Manitoba teams, which is a top 5 or a top 10 player recognition, depending again on the level. This is boys and girls. Different service awards, recognizing, again, people who put in a long-term commitment to basketball here in Manitoba, 15 to 30 years of commitment at the coaching levels, and a variety of different awards, different Coaches of the Year awards, and a number of different scholarships that are named after people or organizations that have been very friendly or supportive of basketball here in the province at a variety of levels to help a good number of young people that are leaving high school basketball and entering into the next phase of their school and basketball careers at the post-secondary level. So Yeah, it was normally we do have a banquet that does all those awards sort of in one place and recognizes those people in person. Unfortunately, we had to make that call back in January to go ahead with it or not, and it was still uncertain with still closures and lockdowns and whatnot at the time. So we unfortunately had to make the call then to go virtual, which is basically just an announcement on our different platforms. But we were still able to get the All-Star game itself in person, which is really what the kids enjoy. They want to get out and play on the court and play with their peers that they've competed against all year. And just like most All-Star games, it brings together your best and has them have a chance to sort of have a nice send-off on their high school careers. So we were able to get the 4 games in on Saturday this last week. It wasn't crazy snow, but it was crazy rain, and we were afraid that luckily, at least in Winnipeg where it was hosted, the weather was just rain. But in hearing people's travel stories coming in from, especially in Western Manitoba, where that rain was mainly snow, was still not the best. But hey, we got it off, and everybody got home safe, and it's another event in the books. So we're happy it was able to get done.
Well, right on, and hopefully come around this time next year when this event is hosted again, that they can actually have a banquet for these players to celebrate in person. Coming up in May, April is almost over. This is coming up in mid-May, the Manitoba Club Championships. Fill us in on those.
For sure. For sure. I mentioned this a little bit last time we talked, but we're getting a bit closer to it. That's sort of the All-Star event I just mentioned or talked about was sort of the official end of the high school season. Now things shift into the club world for basketball at a variety of levels, including community club and club, which are both non-school basketball, but they're 2 different sort of elements of basketball that are played. Community club is mainly runs through your, as the title says, that through your local area community center. Host league, rec league. There's a lot of versions of those names. But then we have our club championships, which is a bit more of a higher level player, a bit more experienced player on these a bit more selected teams that are offered around the province. And we would culminate. Those teams have been operating since last fall. They paused during the school season a little bit, and then they start up again in the spring here with our championship, or sort of wrapping up with the championship. There's a number of tournaments that sort of lead up into this event. But it's a large tournament for us. It's a 64 team tournament that we run at 3 different locations. One of them, again, is your background there at Fort Manitoba with 3 courts there. We're also at the University of Winnipeg and University of Manitoba. They've got a similar sort of footprint facility that Fort Manitoba has with 3 courts. So we have 9 floors running at a given time over a course of 5 days in middle of May 11th to the 15th. And it's a great event for our teams to have a chance, especially teams from Winnipeg and outside of Winnipeg, to play or intermingle with each other. There's a lot of events that happen sort of regionally, so this allows a chance to bring those kind of level teams together and a variety of some different competition that maybe you haven't seen all year at a higher level. So that's something that's coming up in just about 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, well, it's going to be exciting to see those events unfold once they do in mid-May coming up here. But later on in May, there's going to be the Manitoba provincial team tryouts. Talk about that, just the excitement of having this again, the Manitoba team provincial.
Yeah, again is the key word because it's been 2 years since we've had a provincial team formed in this fashion. We've had some training camps and identification sessions and so on during the pandemic and where we were able to fit things in sort of under the restrictions at the time. But this is going to be really a full-fledged return since 2019. So it's crazy to think that it'll be 3 years since we've been putting teams together, and every sport out there is facing the same. So we're not unique, and it's not just us, but it's exciting to get things back. It's our Cadillac program that Basketball Manitoba was actually formed on sort of as a organization generations ago. So it's the sort of the heart and soul of Basketball Manitoba in creating these provincial teams that represent Manitoba at a variety of ages around Canada and around North America. So those are open tryouts. They are a little different this year because of the pandemic. Normally the ages that are offered are 15U and 17U, but this year they've added an age to include the 18-year-olds, and that's basically the age group that's been impacted the most these last 2 years those kids would have been 16 and 17 respectively over the last 2 summers, and unfortunately had little to no experience. So nationally, that's been added, and the 18U level is going to represent Manitoba at the Canada Games, which those were held in Winnipeg 5 years ago. It was 2017; those were last held, and those were delayed. They should have been scheduled every 4 years, so that would have been the summer of 2021. Last summer, nothing did happen, so those were delayed to this coming summer, and so the ages were adjusted to address that as well. So, but that's a large event. It only happens every 4 years, and it's a large, impactful event. Actually, again, I keep referencing to your background there, but that facility behind you there, as the title says, that's the Canada Games Sport for Life Center, was built 6 years ago for the event that hosted 5 years ago in Winnipeg, and we were lucky to have basketball at that venue, and be a legacy that's left behind after a large event like that. And that's always nice to see big events that come to the city or come to the province and leave a legacy of a venue or what behind for the next generation. So anyways, those are happening in Niagara Falls this coming August, and then we also have our provincial teams running for the 17 and 15U age groups as well. And our boys programs will be headed to Edmonton for their respective national championship, and our girls will be going to Sherbrooke, Quebec for their nationals. Again, this is all in early August, but we start forming our teams in late May, and find the Manitoba's best and brightest to represent us at those respective ages, boys and girls. So 6 total teams were created with those tryouts, and then from there we head to a number of warm up events. In this year, we're heading to a number that are in Minneapolis. Usually, that's our home away from home that we send a lot of our teams to get themselves ready for our nationals. And then we're doing an exchange with Saskatchewan. Sort of, we do that in Brandon. We kind of meet kind of in the middle. It's sort of halfway between. Not really, but between Winnipeg and Regina. Yeah. But I guess for a place that could host it, so we host that every year with our Saskatchewan counterparts and getting ready. So, but yeah, it's exciting to get that off. Those tryouts are open to any player, anybody who wants to come. We'll be having those details up on our website in the coming days, but they're just about a month from now, the 27th to the 29th of May. At Sport Manitoba, that same place. That place you're sitting in is our home court. So it's fitting that you've got that there. I can reference that a number of times. Yeah, as a place to as our home, as basically the home of Basketball Manitoba these days.
Yeah, and like you guys see on the screen right now, if you guys want to find out info about the trials for the provincials, be sure to check out basketballmanitoba.ca. Just going into that, all these different teams, all the players that will be selected, just to give them that opportunity to travel to many different places, like you said, to Minneapolis, meeting in Brandon, and like you said, the tournament going to be held in Niagara Falls for the Nationals, and just having all that, just how huge is that to give players that type of experience of traveling to these different places to play the sport?
Yeah, it's really for a lot of these young players, it's their real first experience to have a sort of play beyond their own, maybe their own school or club that they've had, especially these last 2 years. But even in normal times, it's a unique opportunity, and a lot of players get that first, I guess, next level exposure that many need or want to play at the next level, be it post-secondary or even one day playing professional, which a lot of these young players that we even have in Manitoba right now that are not as young, but in their, say, 20s and playing professional somewhere around the world, most, if not all, had their start in the provincial team program and just got that extra level of competition amongst their teammates to play with the best and coach under the best, or being coached with the top coaches in Manitoba. But then just getting that extra level of exposure either to our national team program, which all these events are Canada Basketball coordinated and run. So the next level of national team coaches, junior teams, cadet teams, which are all these ages we're talking about, are looking for that next phase of player that can put on the red and white and represent Canada. So that's the next level goal for many of these athletes, to get that extra chance to play in front of a wider audience, a higher level audience of coaches and others that can open doors, and then even to play at the next level post-secondary to get that scholarship to play here in Manitoba at the next level or somewhere around the world. It's amazing how many more and more opportunities are out there for young people like this. So it's a stepping stone and one that's important to us as a sport. And we definitely are very, very happy to have it back, because it's been a massive void in our system the last 2 summers.
Well, something else that's coming up in the summer in late June is going to be the Manitoba 3-on-3 basketball championships. Take us through that. I assume this event is also happening again for the first time in a long time.
First time, it'll be 3 years, but I guess we missed 2 summers worth it in June there. And the same place that you're sitting in is going to be the host of we can run. And actually in a place like that, there's 3 basketball courts, but there's actually 14 basketball hoops in the facility, so we can run as many as 14 half courts in the place that Sport Manitoba. And so that's where we host our 3x3 provincial championships and have for the last number of years, and we're excited to have that back again. For those that may not know, or that term 3-on-3, normal basketball, if you want to call it that, is traditionally played on a full court with 2 basketball hoops on each end, with 5 players on a team. So 5-on-5 is the typical term reference to that. 3-on-3 or 3x3, I guess, is the term that internationally is used to define that. Is obviously, just like the title says, three players against 3 players on a half court, though. So it's only on 1 hoop. That's typically what you see being played in a playground or on a driveway. But it's evolved from just that into what we host here with the national or our provincial championships. From that, our top level men's and women's teams that win out of Manitoba here will automatically advance to a national championship being hosted in downtown Toronto in Dundas Square, which is sort of their equivalent of Portage and Main, in a big open setting in downtown Toronto. With a chance to then move on to an international event. So it's nice to see a pathway for our athletes here at that level. But that's the top level of basketball, which is basically the 18 plus open divisions. But it is open to as young as players ages 12 and up. So it's more than just sort of an elite level of game. But it's open to any player or any team that want to register. And we'll have those details on our website in the coming weeks. But that's June 25th and 26th. At Sport Manitoba, and excited to have it back. This is be the first actual year that we've had it since you may or may not know, or some other people watching, that 3-on-3 or 3x3 basketball was part of the last Olympics that were held just this last summer for the very first time. So it's since basketball was first introduced into the Olympics in 1936, so like many almost 100 years ago. So this is the first time in our life that we've had a second discipline of basketball introduced into the Olympics, and so that was held for the first time this last summer. So it's opened a lot more doors and changed a lot of things, how that level of basketball is recognized and respected across the world. So it's neat to play, and it's a completely different game. If you've never seen it, go to YouTube and type in FIBA 3x3. FIBA is our international body. It's FIBA. Just type that in and you'll see hundreds, if not thousands, of games at that high level. And it's an exciting game to watch and play. And so if you've not experienced it, check that out. And of course, if you've got teams, young people, anybody ages 12 and up interested in playing, they could join us in late June at our championships and experience a different version of basketball.
Yeah, and it's scrolling down below the screen here, like you can see down below on the screen. Basketballmanitoba.ca is the website where you go to just check out the information if you want to get involved maybe in the 3-on-3 basketball championships coming up in late June, as well as the other stuff that we talked about today here with Adam, that I talked about today with Adam. You can visit Basketball Manitoba's website, basketballmanitoba.ca. And Adam, you always reference this court in the background that I got. Maybe someday I'll have to come visit it for myself. Never actually seen.
You mean
that.
you're not sitting there right now?
No.
Get a pretty good seat if you do.
Yeah. But Always great to have you on the shows here on these Wednesday mornings, Adam, when we are able to connect. I'll see you in about 2 weeks here to talk more about what's happening in the sport here of basketball in Manitoba. But until then, you take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Graeme. You too.
Adam Wedlake, Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba, joining this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba show here on AETi Productions. After this commercial from Fabricland Winkler, and might be playing another commercial throughout this break as well. It's time for this week's edition of Graeme's Opinion. I referenced what I was going to be I talked about what I was going to be talking about in this segment at the start of the show. If you guys missed that, don't worry. I'll be giving a rundown of what I'll be talking about before I hop into it on this week's edition of Graeme's Opinion. Coming up next, after this next commercial break on Rise and Shine Manitoba show on AETi Productions.
Mitchell, owner of Evolve Green, and here at Evolve Green we take the environment very seriously. Solar system that offsets our main facility by 75%, as well as maintaining natural prairie on our grounds. Our mission, creating renewables that work for you. I started Evolve Green in 2008 with a passion for the environment and wanting to change my corner of the world. And that remains the same today. Through design, consult, and installation, we provide renewable energy systems and storage integration. Here at Evolve Green, we help Canadians rethink power and storage to help fortify our children's future. To learn more, visit evolvegreen.ca.
And welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here on AETi Productions, everybody. Hopefully everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday morning up until this point. It is currently 10:43 a.m. on this Wednesday morning, April 27th in 2022. That's Manitoba time. Wherever you guys are watching, wherever you may be watching this edition of the show. On this Wednesday morning, I want to thank you for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun so far. Just got done talking to Adam Wedlake, Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba. Also talked to Gordie Tumilson of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy earlier on in the show. If you guys missed those interviews and want to check them out on our new media player on our website at amateursports.tv, you can now rewind live broadcasts that we do here on the network, whether that be broadcasting hockey games or any sporting event that we broadcast when we are on location for games or for our TV shows. Simply visit amateursports.tv if you want to test out our new media player and test out that feature. Coming up now is going to be Graeme's Opinion, and going to be talking about some hockey in today's edition of this segment, as well as talking about the roads right now in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which are absolutely awful, but I'll get into that in a bit here. But talking about the MMJHL, the St. James Junior Canucks, able to come away with the championship after winning Game 5 on Monday night at the Bell MTS Iceplex, beating the Pembina Valley Twisters 5-0 in that game. This was St. James' first championship win since 24 years ago. So it's been a long time coming for this team. Great to see this team win, especially with the unfortunate circumstance that happened with, I believe it was their trainer that passed away. It was really sweet to see that they had a jersey with his name on it. Wanks was the last name on the jersey, and from the games I went to, they would always have it hung up on the boards, not on the boards, but on the bench. And yeah, just if he was still alive, he would definitely be very proud of the St. James Junior Canucks team, who had a heck of a playoff run. Taking a look at the standings for the playoffs, St. James only lost 2 games. They only dropped 1 game in this finals, and they rallied off 3 straight to become this year's league champions in the MMJHL. But yeah, game 5, the Canucks ended up winning 5-0, 42-24 were the shots in favor of St. James. Both the Canucks and the Pembina Valley Twisters went 0 for 4 on the power play in those in that game 5. In game 3 and game 4, St. James in game number 3 won 2-1, out shooting Pembina Valley 42-32 in that game. St. James went 1 for 4 on the power play in that game, while Pembina Valley went 0 for 6. And in game number 4, when St. James traveled to the Morris Multiplex in Morris, Manitoba to play Pembina Valley, it was 29-26 in shots in favor of Pembina Valley in that game, but they took a lot of penalties. 9 times St. James was on the power play, and St. James ended up going 4 for 9 compared to Pembina Valley, who also had a lot of power play opportunities in that game, going 1 for 7 on their man advantage. But, I talked about it last time on the show about game 2, just recapping it. And I had the right series winner, but just not the right amount of games. I called St. James in 6 games to win. They ended up winning in 5. Maybe gave Pembina Valley the benefit of the doubt there, giving them some respect with calling this series to be won in 6 games. But happy that I got the championship winner right in my prediction last week of St. James winning. And for St. James, like I said last time, when the St. James Canucks team plays their game, it's really hard to beat them. And in these last 2 games of the series, in these last 3 games of the series, they only gave up 3 goals in total. Just in terms of offensively, from what I saw, St. James with a really good forecheck in the offensive zone, cycling the puck around really well, finding open teammates, getting traffic to the net, especially on the power play in that 4th game in Morris. It seemed like this team, when they were breaking into the zone, they took more time to set up, waiting for their teammates to come in, and they'd have more numbers. And they were just hard on pucks on the forecheck going into that. Good defensive zone coverage as well from St. James. Sticking with their man, playing good man-to-man coverage, boxing out, keeping Pembina Valley the majority of the time to the outside when they were shooting. This St. James team also played really good gaps defensively, and they got really good goaltending. Noah Gilbert, he faced a lot of chances that were, lower quality, but he faced some higher quality chances as well. And he was able to come away with some really good performances in these playoffs. And that's why he ended up having the type of record that he did in the playoffs this season, where he ended up just taking a look at the goalie stats, where he ended up having a 12-1-1 record with a .920 save percentage and a 2.06 goals against average and 3 shutouts. Huge shutout win for him in his last game, even though he didn't face an insane amount of shots, only 24 shots against, but he was perfect in that final game. Talking about just this team's assignments in the neutral zone as well, having good support in the neutral zone, getting into the lanes, making it difficult for this Pembina Valley team to enter the zone cleanly. And those are just the many things that went into St. James having success against this Pembina Valley Twisters team as this series went along, as it ran its course. In terms of Pembina Valley, for them offensively, the forecheck was still aggressive, but it seemed like they were getting less sustained pressure. And I just felt like that was credit to St. James doing a better job of beating the forecheck with a good puck movement from the defenseman, manipulating the coverage, drawing the Pembina Valley Twisters to one side of the ice before making a breakout pass into the neutral zone or whatever that may be, and giving some better open looks to their teammates to be able to move more freely within the Pembina Valley neutral zone coverage. I felt like Pembina Valley, when they did get their chances, they got traffic in front of the net, most notably on their power play goal in that fourth game. I believe it was their second goal of the game in that 5-2 loss. But this team just had trouble breaking down St. James defensive coverage, had trouble getting those high quality chances from the inside. Of course, that's a credit to St. James, good defensive coverage. But defensively for Pembina Valley, losing their man, whoever was covering, getting lost in coverage, and just the hard forecheck from St. James ended up making these defensemen make mistakes. And there was also times where I felt like these defensemen, or just the players in the Pembina Valley zone, would end up just flipping it out and not making the highest quality decisions, right? On their assignments in the neutral zone and throughout this series, I felt like Pembina Valley still did a decent job of getting on the man, but I found that when that 2-1-2 forecheck that they were running, a very aggressive forecheck, was getting beat, St. James was having more room to maneuver in the zone, and that ended up resulting in some good things for St. James, some bad things for Pembina Valley. But one more thing that I think St. James was doing really good is just having that last defenseman back, really doing a good job of, making that good first pass, being a good last line of defense as well, and really doing a good job of taking away the man in front and being physical as well. And for St. James, this is a team that, you had to see it coming with them just being able to win the championship this season. Not only did they go 12-1-1 in the playoffs with 71 goals for, 30 goals against, but this is also a team in the regular season who ended up finishing in first place by 11 points more than the next team, Transcona, who ended up finishing in second place, as St. James had 78 points compared to Transcona's 67. They went 37-4-4, 236 goals and 127 against. This is a team that was not only really good at home with an 18-2-2 record, but also a 19-2-2 away record. A team with a really good power play, really good penalty kill as well. And for St. James, they're losing some players heading into next season, but they're still going to have some key guys returning. So, all I got to say is congratulations to the St. James Junior Canucks on claiming this year's MMJHL championship in 5 games over the Pembina Valley Twisters, winning a championship for the first time since 24 years ago. Playoff hockey. I know I don't really like talking about pro sports on here anymore, but I'll talk about it for today, just in terms of, because playoffs is coming up soon, the NHL season. Taking a look at the schedule coming up, when it's going to wrap up. It's wrapping up on Sunday, May 1st, with the game between the Winnipeg Jets and Seattle Kraken. Season, if that Seattle Kraken game didn't get canceled earlier on this month due to the snowstorm, that game wouldn't have been rescheduled for May 1st. But that will be the last game of the season. The last full slate of games of the season is coming up this Friday. And then playoffs should be starting up very soon. Of course, 16 teams is always going at it in the NHL to battle it out to win that ultimate prize, Lord Stanley's Cup. And why playoff hockey is the best time of the year? Well, it's just, if you've watched hockey, if you've played hockey, you know that it just intensifies. Just everything intensifies, everything tightens up, gets more physical, gets really chippy. The emotions run really high. And also a great thing about playoffs as well, going back to the season where the St. Louis Blues ended up winning, is you can see some upsets. And that year might have been an outlier, but saw all 4 first seeds division winners go out in the first round. So it's unexpected results that can happen. Any team can get hot at the right time. I mean, look at the LA Kings when they ended up winning their first Stanley Cup, being the last team to make it to the dance, making it in, and being able to run the table and upset every single team that they played. It just depends on who gets hot during playoff time, who comes to play, who comes ready to play, who comes prepared. And yeah, I mean, it's just nothing like it, I think, in the world of playoff hockey. And in terms of just the playoff format of the NHL, there's 4 rounds. You need to win 16 games to win the Stanley Cup. And, you know, it's all best of 7 series. So if you win 1 game, you could blow a team out. Congrats, but you got to keep playing for a full 7-game series. You got to treat it like that. And for example, looking back to last year, the Colorado Avalanche in their first game in, I forget what division they were in. I think they were in the West division last year because they split it up due to COVID-19. It was a bit different when they had the Canadian only division, and they split up many different teams into many different conferences, or into many different divisions. And yeah, the Colorado Avalanche in that second round series that they had against Vegas ended up blowing them out in game 1, ended up going up 2-0 in the series, but then Vegas found another level and was able to beat them 4 games straight. So you can blow out a team, but that doesn't exactly mean you're going to come away with a series victory. And I think, yeah, it's just, it's a grind. It's a lot of intensity in the playoffs, and any team can win it when it comes down to it, not only in hockey, but any playoff sport. But talking about hockey specifically for this segment here, yeah, those are the many reasons why I think playoff hockey is the absolute best. And the reason why they're the best is because I'm a hockey fan at the end of the day. And like I said, there's nothing like playoffs, nothing quite exactly like it. The intensity, the grind that these teams have to go through, and the unexpected that could happen. Ending off with one last thing here on Graham's opinion, let's talk about Winnipeg, the road situation. And I assume no one from the city of Winnipeg is watching this. But if you are, please fix the roads, man. Fix the roads. The potholes are worse than ever here. It's just terrible to drive through. Like, I'm not sure if you guys are, if you do live in Winnipeg, you're probably aware with the area of Southdale and St. Boniface. There's about 5 nasty potholes, 3 really big ones. And yeah, causes traffic to move slowly. Of course, if you're hitting that thing at full speed, who knows what's going to happen? Thinking of the worst, maybe your car flips over and starts, tumbling around, right? You never, obviously that's kind of an insane scenario to think of. But yeah, it's just driving on these potholes. Not only is it annoying to hit them, and not only does it not feel good for yourself when you're driving in the car and for everyone that is with you in the car, your passengers, but it's also taxing on the car, right? I mean, you could have amazing shocks in your car. You could have, the best car in the world, but it gets beat up with the potholes, right? If you keep going through them, and, it's not the best for the car's health, right? It's like well, I can't really think of an analogy to think of to describe it, to relate to it. But overall, these potholes are bad. I don't get why the city of Winnipeg will not start working on the roads. Like, I don't see anyone working on the roads in Southdale, and they've been awful. Like I said, at the roundabout, I know there's a stop sign in my area here in Windsor Park where there's a massive pothole. It's just, I feel like it's such an easy fix to do. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not too familiar with how the process works. I know that usually the city of Winnipeg is really slow with construction. So yeah, my hope is that the potholes get fixed, because they're not fun to drive on. They're not fun to drive into, and they just really don't do good for the car. And for anyone that is inside it, it's really not the best feeling hitting those potholes. And yeah, just talking about the city of Winnipeg, just fix it. Fix the potholes. Don't take your sweet time. fix them, because it's going to be a long summer if the potholes are there. It's going to be a long spring and a long year if you don't fix these roads. And yeah, they're worse than ever. But yeah, hopefully the potholes get fixed soon and the roads are better. But that's some wishful thinking there. But yeah, heading forward, hopefully those get sorted out and get fixed. But yeah, that's going to do it for Graham's opinion today, folks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's edition of the segment. The segment will be returning next week, so stay tuned for that on Rise and Shine Manitoba. But coming up after this next commercial break, we're just at 11 a.m., just after 11 a.m. very soon here in just a moment. But going to throw it to one last commercial break here, and I'll be back with some final words on today's edition of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break. Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. Manitoba Show, of course, brought to you by AETi, Evolve Green, and Fabricland Winkler. Fabricland Winkler, the official sponsor of Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba. Special thanks to Fabricland Winkler, along with Evolve Green and AETi, for sponsoring another edition of the show. Welcome back, everybody. This is going to mark the end of today's edition, this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. Just got done doing an edition of Graham's Opinion to end off today's episode. And yeah, now we're here. Me giving some final words on today's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's edition of the show. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, share it, leave a comment, leave some feedback as well as if you want. But yeah, like and share on Facebook at ASTV Productions. By doing that, it's just going to help us grow our coverage here and put the spotlight on the great guests that show up, not only on this show, Rise and Shine Manitoba, but all the other shows we have here on the network. Want to thank Adam Wedlake, Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba, for joining today's edition of the show, as well as Gordie Tumilson of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. Thanks to them for being the two guests in today's episode. And also a special thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning into today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. The next edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba will be coming to you guys next week at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, bright and early here on ASTV Productions. Be sure to check that episode out at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time next Wednesday. On our Facebook page at ASTV Productions, on Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, or on our website at amateursports.tv or astvproductions.com. Be sure to check out our social media pages on Instagram at ASTV Productions and our Facebook and Twitter as well, coming up Tuesday night next week for the release of the guest list for the upcoming edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. Also, folks, as I've noted before, I'm doing a mental health fundraiser. It's called Graham's Mental Health Fundraiser. All proceeds being donated in the GoFundMe page for Graham's Mental Health Fundraiser will be going to the Canadian Mental Health Association, going to a great cause, trying to raise $1,000 before May 10th. So there's still some time to donate. There's a link down below if you do want to donate. It doesn't matter what amount of money, of course. It could be $1, maybe even 50 cents, maybe even like $100. Doesn't really matter. Any money going towards the fundraiser to this great cause, to the Canadian Mental Health Association, will definitely help. Currently at $237 raised, hoping to get that goal up. But if not, just want to thank everyone who has donated, who might have donated so far for donating, as well as if you don't want to donate, that is fine too, because not everyone has the money to do that. That is okay, but please share this so we can get some, so I can get some eyes on it, on this fundraiser for a great cause. And of course, as I always say, my views and opinions shown in the GoFundMe page, in the paragraphs or the text that is on there, do not align with ASTV Productions' opinions and views on Bell Media. They are my views and my opinions alone. They're Graeme Forsyth's views and opinions alone. So yeah, it's up until May 10th. Like I said, feel free to donate if you can. And please feel free to share it as well. That'd be great. That'd be terrific. But yeah, that is all for today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba for this week on April 27th. Want to see you all next week on May 4th here on the network for the first edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba in May. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, signing off on this Wednesday morning. Until next week, folks, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday today. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful and fantastic weekend as well. Stay safe out there. Until next time, folks, Graeme Forsyth giving you the salute and giving you the peace out on this Wednesday. We'll see you next week, folks. Take care, everybody.